Yeah. All right. Welcome to Beyond the Whiteboard sponsored show around the whiteboard. I said the wrong name of the show. You can go to btwb.com/all-in-one. Mayhem are on that now, I think, aren't they? On Beyond the Whiteboard? I think
we're working on it. I think
we're still we're on there right now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
And you can be too. All you have to do is go to the link, sign up. And you can do it if you're just doing your own little programming, or if you're doing what Rich is doing or whatever, and you can keep track of what you're doing. The eagle-eyed amongst you may notice that there's only 2 people here. Well, 3, like me as well. I matter. So Will Moorad is supposed to be here, and
I gotta turn the comments off, or I'll laugh at them.
Initially, Will said, "Oh, I only have to speak for 60 seconds at a time. I'm going to do this from the golf course."
I just left the golf course.
And then he got called into work or something. So he was like, if I can jump on at all, I will. But like, I might not be able to.
He's down the road from me. We should have rendezvoused. We're all pretty close.
Yeah. All right. We're just going to do it anyway. In fairness, this is not bad, right? So this is the third last episode. So we've got this one. The winner of this one goes on to the semi-final, where Mundweiler and Nathan Bird are waiting. The winner of that goes on to the final, where Haley Murillo and Brandon Luckett are waiting.
Oh.
And then the winner of that goes on to the Ultra Super Final, where Seth Page and Colton Mertens are waiting. And then after that, I don't know, it just ends forever, I guess. Or we just start all over again. Except the next time I won't do a new set of guests every week, because I'm pretty sure it's giving me some kind of brain cancer trying to organize it every fucking week. Okay. So,
hey, it's my wife mowing the yard too loud? Can you even hear it?
No.
Right now.
No. It's good that you're putting it to work though, but no, we can't hear it. All right. Oh, that's nice. I like that. 60 seconds at a time. Now, one of the Imam guys has done well. Yeah, Brandon, look at the Imam company. He's waiting in the... Angelo has that look of Lynx Africa about him. He does.
I don't know what that means.
Are you doing like, I'm not going to cut my hair until thing?
No, I wasn't going to cut my hair until the games, kind of, but that passed a while ago. So I don't know my plans.
The 2025 games is the news.
Yeah, the 2025 games. I don't know.
You're looking exquisitely like Soprano-esque. Like, you could be
I hate
hiding a gun in a toilet or something.
I hate having long hair, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm committed to. Like, look at this.
Just buzz cut.
It's hard to bring it back once you cut it.
Yeah. I mean, Jake, your hair is better than everyone's hair, so you can say whatever you want. All right, still got 3 topics. We still got points. If Will jumps on at any point, I'll just shove him straight in. And congrats to Will on becoming the fittest 39-year-old. That's it, isn't it? All right. Speaking of, I need my clock. The Masters and Teens CrossFit Games were this weekend. I want to know if they were a success. They've obviously been split off from the CrossFit Games proper, let's say, this year for the first time. And now where is this going to go?
Are you gonna define success for us, or we're doing that on our own?
No, it's your job to do that. Okay, I'm going to have to go back to the other screen, I'm afraid, so that we have the clock in the top corner. But now we just have an empty box. This is the first time it's ever happened that I'm missing a guest, so
really?
I just need to keep reminding myself of that. Yeah. All right, there's our clock. All right, Angelo, you were going to go first, but now Jake is close to me, so now Jake has to go first. So shitty break, Jake. All right, Jake, you got 60 seconds. We're the Masters, Teens Games success. Time starts now. Go.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say that my answers throughout all this, I think, are going to be pretty conservative. So, Angelo, you got a pretty good shot in all this, but that's not a good way to start a debate in about 10 seconds, but that's okay. So I would say, obviously, we have to define success. I can't speak to whether or not they're a financial success, right, from a purely pragmatic, like, business perspective. And I can only speak to the team games because I was there this past weekend. From like a subjective, were they a success for like a successful experience for the athletes? I would have to say yes. Everything ran pretty smoothly. There were a couple hiccups with scoring, which I think is expected in high level competitions, but most of the teams seemed pretty happy. Families seemed happy. Coaches seemed happy. Communication was really good. Everything went pretty smoothly. So from that perspective, I would say that yes, they were. The Masters, to be honest, I can't even speak to it, but from afar, they looked to be the same. But that's all I'd get to say.
Right, Angelo, see if you can not waste the first 32 seconds by pre-answering your answer. All right, Angelo, 60 seconds were the Masters and Teens Games success. Your time starts now. Off you go.
Okay, I think from a find the fittest, they probably were a success. I feel like the programming overall was decent. I could go in the weeds on that. Overall, probably good enough to find the fittest. I only saw the Masters, I didn't see the teens. From a financial aspect, I would imagine it's a success because they cut back on a lot of stuff from the outside looking in. So financially, I would say yes, success, but I don't know the correct answer, like the true answer for that. Find the fittest, yes. So that mainly is a success in its own, that they found the fittest. And I think also Jake was right that like it did seem like all the Masters when I went there seemed like they were having a good time. So that is also very important. So I think success all around, different, very different feel, but success nonetheless. Didn't even need the whole minute.
All right. You've got 20 seconds rebuttal. Jake, you better just fucking think of something to say for 20 seconds.
Yeah, just stir the pot, man. Like you brought Angelo's not an agreeable person, but I am pretty agreeable. I mean, yeah, I honestly kind of dropped all on my part. I didn't even think about do we find the fittest. So for the teens, I would just say that yes.
Your time hasn't started yet, so none of this actually counts. So you can just wait like the 3 more seconds.
I don't have a rebuttal. I mean, I would agree with Angelo. So
Angelo wins. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Why does he automatically win?
It's so controversial. Piss me off.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't know. I got nothing, man. I'm too kind.
I don't think you have a controversial bone in your body.
We're gonna talk like American politics or something, and then we'd probably agree on all that too, though, Angelo. So,
right, Angelo, you've got 20 seconds. Time starts now. If you go.
Yeah. I mean, I'm right. I'm always right, so I'm not really surprised. Yeah, I don't really need a rebuttal, obviously, because Jake has no idea how to argue with me. But I mean, yeah, I'm right, so there's no way to argue with someone who's right.
That's right.
All right. I think the comments should be up in category number 3. It would actually be cool if I could do that, but I don't think I can do that. This says there's no chip time. Was there no chip timing at the Teens and Masters? I thought there was.
They had some issues. I don't know what the exact issues were.
Something big happened with the teen event 1 or something.
The running events, they had some issues with those, but I'm not sure exactly what the issue was with the timers, and that was probably my least favorite part. They had 2 back-to-back run events. Like they had a trail run, like a 1.5 mile trail run, and then they basically just did another like trail run, more intense trail run, like a 600-meter course. Like, was
there supposed to be an event in between them though, and they had to cancel it or something?
No, there was supposed to be one after that. A D-ball. They canceled it that day due to weather, but they actually made up that workout on Sunday. So
was it a D-ball workout? It was supposed to be outside. Was that what I saw?
Yeah, it was supposed to be D-ball, squats, and do a carry. So they just made it up outside on Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's a good call.
Wouldn't you have to be there to have a success or not? No. Why would you have to be there to tell if it's a success or not? It was live streamed on YouTube, and you can talk to people, and you can just.
I went to the Masters game, so I mean, I saw that, and then Jake saw the teens, and it sounds like unanimous. It probably was a success. I mean, but just by seeing the programming, you can say that it was a success because you saw the programming, you're like, oh, this will probably find the fittest person, and then you look at the leaderboard, and if you follow it at all, you're like, yeah, like if you know any of those athletes, you're okay, yeah, probably the fittest athletes won. At least in the divisions. I know a lot of people in a lot of the divisions, not personally maybe, but like know them as athletes. And I saw they won, or the good ones were in the top 3. So you're like, yeah, that was good.
Actually, the teenage live stream was pretty good. And the Masters, the issue I had with the Masters is that there was 2 live streams running simultaneously. And I didn't understand why there was a games one and who ran it? Legends one running on 2 different channels. So that just confused me. And I was like, this is like why you're distracted. You just you're splitting attention straight away. Just have one. That confused me. Although it was nice to have the choice of which you actually wanted to listen to. But yeah, I think I thought the pit coverage was really good from what I saw, and I would agree with I paid more attention to the Masters this year than I have, and the teens this year than I have any other year, because one, it wasn't on. Okay, it was a shame they were both on at the same time as each other, I feel, but they weren't on at the same time as the game, so they weren't getting completely overshadowed for the whole 4 days or whatever.
The only thing I would say is that for the teens, and a couple of them mentioned this, like the experience overall felt less special or less important, because I think part of it for the teens is just the unique, and maybe for the Masters too, but just the uniqueness of being able to be near the top athletes, like being able to compete near Angelo, and I'm thinking of the mayhem people like Paige and Guy, like they're there with them, so they almost feel like, man, I'm on this level, I'm just at a younger age, category. I think separating them, maybe according to what a couple of them said, it felt just different, like maybe a little less special.
Well, I would probably argue at the Masters games there was probably more spectators at the Legends than there is normally at the Masters games, like at the CrossFit games. But it felt like there were less because there's less people there overall. But you probably actually have more eyes on you, because everyone who came, it came for exactly that. And if you think about it, a Masters athlete usually has a family around them, so they're usually bringing probably 4 people. Like I would imagine, you're probably bringing at minimum 2, probably 4 people with you, and they had 440 athletes. Am I making that number up? So you have 400.
You have 10 in each division for teenage and Masters.
And it was way more than that.
I think the teen games had a better venue, right? Like it was kind of weird having everything spread out in like a conference center. I heard, Angelo, right? Like
it was. I wouldn't say spread out. Like it was a big room. It reminded me a lot of the semifinals last year.
Which felt odd. It felt awkward in Orlando.
In 23. In 23, where it was like 2 floors.
Masters makes sense to have spectators if you're spectating at the teens while you're not around.
Fair point.
Yeah. Some people just can't go there. I ordered Rich Running from Temu, and they sent me an Angelo. It wasn't even the current long hair version. It was last year's clean cut. And then CrossFit said, Bernie's comment made Pedro giggle. No, I actually laughed at Jake. The first name that sprung to Jake's mind when he was thinking of top athletes was Angelo. And I was like, God, he's really afraid of Angelo. He's not going to argue with him at all for this whole show. That's the first name.
Far from it.
All right, we got our score. So Angelo's on 2, Jake's on 1. Basically a pity point for Jake. He spoke and got a point. All right, I think finding the fittest is, first and foremost, that's what you want to do. I think having more people there arguably is a success. I think I actually thought the live streams were good from what I saw them, and I haven't heard much criticism. There was that kind of fuck up with the close at the Masters where they got like the teen games closed or whatever, but like I haven't heard a huge amount of criticism. I don't know. I didn't.
You want me to say something slightly controversial? Maybe.
Please.
Yeah. I'll say one of the thoughts, I've shared it with a couple of people. I shared it with Angelo. Like we chatted yesterday a little bit, and with a couple of buddies of mine and some of the other coaches. I was just saying, like at the end of the weekend, there was a couple of times that I was sitting there just going like, I don't like, and I just don't have enough information to decide this. But is there there were a couple of times I'm like, why is CrossFit even doing this? Right? Like, it feels like the NFL getting involved in youth sports or something.
I think it's and
like to go back to what Angelo said even before, it's like if CrossFit is, and it shouldn't be purely financial decision, because I think if the games are losing CrossFit money, I would still continue with the games, right? Because I think that's short-sighted if you're just looking at profitability or not. I don't know with the teens and the Masters though. I just don't have enough. I don't have the numbers at all. But if you're losing money on the teens and Masters games, if I'm in charge of CrossFit, I would hesitate. I would think twice. I would go, does this make sense for us to be direct?
Is that not the point of what they did this year though? Now they're not losing money on either of them.
We wouldn't know.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know.
Isn't it kind of like, hey, this is your problem now. It's on you.
Yeah. They probably did save money.
I don't know how the split worked, right? Like I don't know how much was.
I also think as well, wouldn't it be fair to say that if cut off, like if they just went like snip with the Masters from say the Open, they're just fucked. Like, isn't that their biggest base?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The challenge is like once you give it to people and then like anything, you take it away, you're gonna have people just screaming bloody murder. And you know what? And I'm not saying that they should either. It's just a thought that for the sake of controversy for your podcast here. But no, it was a genuine thought that crossed my mind a couple times. Like, does this even make sense? And I, if I'm in charge, I would have to have a lot of conversations with a lot of people, and I would have to see all the numbers. And that's probably why I'm not that excited to bring on here, because I won't get like I'm such a like, hey, I got to see everything, I got to think about it, I got to talk to people. But it's something that crossed my mind, like, does this even make sense for the
I'll be more knee jerk to even it out.
Yeah, I mean, when I invited you on the show, that probably would have been the time to say, oh, I'm not a good guest. I'm also conscious of the fact that it took me probably 4 months to get Angelo on, like literally trying every week, and now I need to go back on next week unless Jake wins, and Angelo's going to be like, I can't do this for another 8 weeks. All right, topic number 2. Let's see.
The problem is that these are all things that's like if it was more like, I think where you would get a better debate if it was something more like coaching related, like.
Oh yeah, good job. Tell me how to do what I'm doing, and then I'll definitely give you points.
Yeah,
if you really want a good debate. Well, Angelo's already left, so you're the de facto. Oh no, he's back.
I had to go plug my computer in.
I think you're one of the
Someone
best.
actually said that earlier on. I hope everyone's got their computer plugged in. Referencing Pat Fowler leaving the room. All right. What happens if the CrossFit Games disappeared? So we've kind of like alluded to it a little bit there. But what would happen if it just never came back? What would happen if there was no open, quarter, semis, games, if the season just disappeared and they said, hey, we're focusing on affiliates, and the methodology and the sport is just gone. The liability is too great. The complaining is too great. Whatever way you want to look at it, it's gone. Angelo, you're up first. You got 60 seconds. What would happen if the CrossFit Games disappeared? Your time starts now. Off you go.
I think you lose a lot of interest from college aged or high school age kids who want to do competitive sports or have done competitive sports and want that outlet to stay relatively competitive. Especially because the amount of guys my age I've met that started CrossFit because their friend did the Open and they're like, hey, just come try the Open and then see what you can do for the season, and now they're hooked. One of the people that comes to mind is like Austin Hatfield. That's kind of how he got hooked. He did the Open, and now he's hooked, and he's really good. So I think you lose a lot of that. You lose a lot of the want to compete. Like people who don't want to compete, or people who do want to compete, they come into a CrossFit gym, they get to compete a lot, and then like you lose that. Yeah, you lose that competition aspect. I think. Yeah, you still have it in the classes, but where are you going from there? You can only compete in the class, and now that's the highest level of competition you can do. Maybe a couple local comps. So yeah, I think it ruins the CrossFit even in the affiliates.
Good stuff. All right, Jake, you got 60 seconds. Time starts now. Off you go.
Yeah, I think what would happen is you'd have a third party come in. I think there would be a few years of disorganization and people trying to figure something out. I'd like to hope eventually somebody could come in and do as good of a job. I would have a lot of doubts over that. Kind of piggyback off what Angelo was saying, to quote Glassman, what do you always say? Like, men will die for points. So I think you would see CrossFit's methodology and the affiliates shrink over time if you take away the games. I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh, we don't even know what's happening at the games, but there's still a sizable amount of people who are doing CrossFit because of the games, and all I have is anecdotal evidence for that, but I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for the CrossFit Games, right? And Rich Froning and Dave Castro and all the hype of those first few years. And I think there's a lot of people like that. So yeah, I think overall the methodology would slowly start to fade.
Oh, you've run out of time there. I'm just glad I got to meet you. That's all I wanted to do, really. All right, 20-second rebuttal, or you can build upon your own point. Angelo, time starts now. Off you go.
I didn't even think about someone coming in and picking it up what CrossFit would leave. Someone for sure would do that, but I don't think it would be the same. There would always be of like what could have the CrossFit Games been had they keep going. So it would never be the same, and it really hurts the affiliates, I think, in the long run, more than people would even know.
All right, Jake. Last 20 seconds of yours. Off you go.
I mean, it just I guess to provide some more evidence, like, again, all this is anecdotal and it's one person, but I owned an affiliate. I still do. We're technically not affiliated anymore, but we had a lot of people walk in the gym because they saw the CrossFit Games and because they saw the rich Netflix documentary, right? And the media that CrossFit used to put out. And so you would lose a side.
Oh man, you're running out of time again. What a shit. All right, okay. Let me do up your scores. Okay. How do you think it would affect the affiliates, Angelo, out of interest?
Like I said, I think you would lose a lot of the people who want to stay competitive. They'd be like, okay, it's just another gym. Yeah, you would have people come in and they would leave, like just how people join and leave gyms now. Like, you think of just like a Planet Fitness or any other gym. Someone goes there for, a couple months and they lose interest because there's not anywhere to go from there. When I think about like high school or college level athletes, you're like, oh man, I can be like competitive in this. All you gotta do is keep working hard. Like, I already got a strong back squat, a strong bench press. Like, I can build off that. And then you learn the Olympic lifts. You're like, dude, I'm gonna go to a local competition. You're like, I'm gonna try the open. I like this stuff. I'm gonna try the open. And then you get people to do the open. Then like for guys, I mean, you think about like guys like Jake who make a living off people who want to be competitive, or even not necessarily competitive, but just like want to push their limits a little bit, who want to go to quarterfinals, or my goal is to make a semifinal, and or my goal is to go to the games and be there for multiple years. So like there's a lot of people, I think, in that realm. If you just go to a gym just to work out, like you lose. I mean, everyone starts in January, fizzles off by February, but I think there's retention in the fact of like, okay, the Open's coming up. I'm going to do the Open. Like, okay, I made it to the Open, and I want to try quarterfinals. And there's always something to strive for every year, and you can change that.
I think one of the allures of CrossFit, as much as maybe it sounds like Glassman is almost like crap, when he looks back at the games and he's like, I wish I would have de-emphasized that more, right? But I think his methodology worked in part because of the competitive atmosphere that he was a part of creating. Because like Angelo said, like I coached general fitness clients before competitive CrossFitters for several years. I've worked with hundreds of people, guys from 14-year-old up to 75-year-old, and what keeps people motivated, or a lot of people motivated, is some sort of competitive endeavor that they're a part of. Right. And so I think that was like, that's what keeps a lot of people showing up to their local affiliate. Not everybody, right? Like, I'm not saying everybody, but I think that's what drives a lot of people. Like, I want to beat my buddy. I want to do better in the Open this year. I want to get a pistol for the first time. I want to be able to hit a ring muscle up. It's that competitive motivation that drives people.
There's something special about the CrossFit Games season in itself, because everyone plans their year around the CrossFit Games season. Like, no one's like, oh man, like it could be February. You could just leave, let's say Wodapalooza. You don't leave Wodapalooza. You go, I'm gonna start training for Wodapalooza next year. You're like, no, I'm just going to take whatever fitness I have and go there. And I'm going to do the game season. I'm going to peak for the game season. Even if that means you're a quarterfinals level athlete, like you're peaking for quarterfinals, you're not peaking for any of these other competitions at all. And so like everyone plans their season around that. And it just like, it all fizzles away. And you're like, I don't know what to do with my fitness now. I don't know when to peak. I don't know when to like do my strength programs. Like coaches like Jake, you don't know when to like, you don't know how to build out a template anymore, because you don't have really anything you're necessarily training for. You're just like working out.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the other thing I think of is like money. So like, I've had a lot of conversations with people who either own brands or companies or whatever around, and all of them are like, oh, just wait and see what happens over the next few weeks. Like, I'm not sure, are we going to be around? I'm not sure. So it's all dependent on the games. And a lot of these brands are brands that like are also supporting affiliates. So if those brands pull out of this, like the sports side, are they going to stick around for the methodology side? Like, or are the affiliates going to suffer there too? Then you also have the thing of there's been this long held argument that, oh well, CrossFit puts on the Open and the affiliates do all the work and CrossFit get all the $20 or whatever. But it's like the affiliates also benefit from it too. So if that's gone, and then no matter how good whatever salesman you are, salesperson you are, you're not going to be able to create the same buzz around some random thing that you do in February that has been happening for the last 20 years or whatever in the open. Like, it's just not going to hit the same, and it's not going to be as global and all encompassing. So I think if the games goes, the whole thing is fucked. Like, I think there's this argument that, oh, the affiliates and the sport drains the affiliates and the affiliates prop up whatever. But there is a level of symbiosis to it, and there is an aspect, like both of you said, pretty much everyone I've ever asked, how did you get started in CrossFit, from games athletes all the way down to just random people in gyms, the answer is always either a 2 or 3 degree of separation, or else direct. I saw the games, or I saw a documentary, or else it's like my friend saw, or a friend of a friend saw. And it's always something to do with media and sport.
Yeah.
It's very rarely I saw a YouTube video about some obese person and thought, oh, I could do that. It's usually I saw a video about Rich Froning, or I saw a video about whatever. And I don't know. I just
would High Rocks be taken off if they didn't have competitions? Like, is it the High Rocks methodology itself? You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't even think about
hot take real quick. This is a whole other topic. I don't think the methodology is strong enough to stand on its own without the games. And that I could explain that further, but
no, I think you're
the
right.
game, the vehicle, isn't it? The games is like almost like the delivery system.
Well, look at the history of fitness, right? Like, I mean, I had a mentor tell me once that he went to a conference, and this guy.
Sorry, 1 second. High Rocks doesn't have a methodology. Yes, it does. You can affiliate as a High Rocks gym, and they have programming.
That's what
It's not called a methodology, but they have like structure.
I was referring to the gym growth of High Rocks, which is surprising to me. But I think it goes to show that, like, constantly varied isn't entertaining for everyone. I mean, look at the growth of running post-COVID, the most monotonous single modality, type of activity that you could do, and it's taking off during COVID and post-COVID. It's kind of making a resurgence or a comeback. But what I was going to say, like, the guy gets up in front of a conference, been doing strength conditioning for 30, 40 years, and looks at all the coaches, and he said the only thing that's changed in strength conditioning in the last 100 years is you. Like, fitness swings on a pendulum, right? Like, methodologies change over time. People prefer something over the other. Like, it was always like constantly varied. I get to go to CrossFit affiliate. I get to do different stuff all the time. And now it's almost like the things that are the same, like High Rocks and running on its own, are making a resurgence and a comeback. People are being attracted to doing more monotonous tasks. So I think it just goes back and forth. So it's just confirming the point of, like, I don't think CrossFit's methodology of constantly varied functional movement executed at high intensity is good enough to stand on its own without the games.
Yeah.
Like, people are
hopefully
like, and I know that would upset people like Savan and stuff. Like, it's so powerful and it's so successful that people are just going to be attracted to it, and it's going to last for forever. I don't think that happens if you take the games away.
Yeah. I think the game, I always just viewed the games as like advertisement. It's just like an expensive, it's like running an ad during the Super Bowl. It's just like, it's expensive, arguably too expensive, but you just hope that it has a knock-on effect for the brand and for the, methodology and the affiliates and everything else. All right, Jake's on 3, Andrew's on 3.5. We've got one topic to go. What?
How does 3.5 happen?
You got 1.5 in the first. No, you got 2.5 in the first round. I don't know. You had a half. Wait a second.
I don't know. Sorry, I don't understand the half. I understand that.
Sorry, you got 1.5 in that last round. So you made an okay point. It wasn't quite as good as Jake's, but it was almost as good. So I gave you 1.5. I gave him 2. Listen, Angelo, if you pull it, that
whose agreement is better? Who's pulling?
If you pull that thread, the whole thing comes. It's a house of cards. The whole thing's gonna come down. All right, last topic. Actually, just a final point on what happens if the games goes away. Hopefully somebody just buys it. Hopefully somebody just says, hey, Berkshire, I'll take the sport off your hands and I'll run it. Like, we'll keep largely the same structure. We have some ideas and we've got a shit ton of money. And then for CrossFit affiliates, it's like, cool, my money is no longer going to the games. So, but I'm still benefiting from the games and I'm still having that advertisement out there, but no money is leaving. Like, my fees aren't being used to push this. What did Glassman call it? Clowns in the car sales lot or something, wasn't it?
No, I don't know. I never heard that.
I called it something like that recently. It was pretty funny. All right. Does the games need Dave Castro? Is our final topic. Jake, you get to go first again. So there's been a lot of talk in the last number of weeks. We've had the demands from PFA. Pat and Brent were on my show last week. Angelo and Saxon were on Savannah's show like a couple of days later, all talking about the demands. The major demand that sticks out from the three was that Dave Castro needs to be removed as the head of sport. Can still be gainfully employed within CrossFit, of course, which I'm sure his ego would definitely just say, oh, no problem, I'll just step aside and do this other thing and just leave that other thing alone. I don't know if that will ever work. Right, so Jake, 60 seconds. Does the CrossFit Games need Dave Castro? Your time starts now. Off you go.
Now, I don't think the Games needs Dave Castro in the same way that I don't think any business or company should need anybody. I think everybody ought to be and is replaceable, including myself or anybody, period. But I think the CrossFit Games is better with Dave Castro. Now, I'm speaking from a relative rookie to the Games over the last couple of years as a coach, right? So it's almost speaking from a spectator's, fans perspective. But the year that we did not have Dave Castro, I think was telling, for how the Games went. Like there was a lot of people even that I knew that were like loosely followed the Games that started to just make a lot of jokes about it because it started to become gimmicky. The workouts became gimmicky. I think you cannot discredit or ignore that Dave, what he did for the sport. I mean, he essentially created the sport. He's a cornerstone for it. So I think the Games is worse off without Dave, but the Games doesn't necessarily need Dave. And I'd be surprised if he didn't admit that himself.
I'd be very surprised if he admitted that. All right.
I think Dave would admit that, like, they don't need him.
Hey! Your time's up, man. Time's up. It's Angelo's time.
Can't argue with you. I can't argue.
All right, Angelo, you got 60 seconds. Time starts now. Off you go.
I think it doesn't need Dave, but it really benefits by having Dave. Without Dave, we have so much history of his programming, and he's done so well for so long that you can nitpick 1 year of maybe regionals or 1 year of the Games. You're like, I kind of missed here, but I promise, I don't care how good of a programmer you think you are. If you program 10 or 15 years of a competition, you're going to miss it every now and then, no matter who you're having test it. Could he probably benefit from having a different team maybe sometimes? Yes, I think so. I think he does a lot of the same stuff. If you look at this year, I can get into the weeds on it, how some of this stuff was so similar, but who's going to do it? Is the PFAA going to hire somebody? Are they the ones who want to find somebody to go in that position? Because I don't trust them to do that. I don't necessarily trust CrossFit either. I think Dave's done a fine job for a very long time, and I don't think anyone really can stand on an argument that say he doesn't do a good job. So with his track history, I don't think you can get rid of him. No matter who.
Your time's up. All right, Jake, you got 20 seconds. Time starts now. Off you go.
Yeah, of course, nothing to disagree with Angelo. The only thing I would add would be, like, it's not just programming the Games that we need him for, but it's also organization of the Games. And to, again, piggyback off Angelo, anybody who thinks that they can step in and run the CrossFit Games better, I think maybe they can, but they're just going to be in for a rude awakening. Like, something's always going to go wrong, and it'll be public.
Angelo, 20 seconds. Off you go.
All right, I'll just go ahead and wreck one of these comments. I bet JR could program the Games as good or better than Dave. I think JR could probably do it at relatively good. I don't know if he could do it better than Dave. Like, JR is one of the best programmers I know, but even he would probably tell you that Dave's done so good for so long that I don't know if he wants that job.
I don't know. Does anybody want that job?
I guess I should have been looking at the comments. I haven't been doing that.
No, you could tell there was a moment when you were talking after Angelo the last time, not during the game, but when I was like typing out points and stuff, you could see Angelo's eyes just drift down to the bottom right corner of his screen. I was like,
I've looked at my phone a couple times, but I should have been looking at the comments. They said, give me an example of gimmicky. Crossover dubs. What else was that year?
That whole event was gimmicky. Doing all the single and unbroken, that's relatively gimmicky. With like you had so many tests you could have done. You used double unders, you used a handstand walk, you used the pegboard. Yeah, that's a fine event in its own. But then but think about what you could have done if you would have split that up. by putting it all together, it becomes a circus act, and you could have split it up throughout the weekend. You have 3 or 4 really good tests, but then when you put it all in one thing, you're like, okay, well, this is just a circus act. I'm tired of watching this. It's not. I mean, it's all skill and accuracy based, which I understand is part of fitness, but it was too much that way.
Do you know what's interesting? Kevin's right. The vast majority of athletes who spoke to him said they were delighted to have him back. That like in the pre-games interviews that he did. It was
vast majority of competitors. Is that vast majority of competitors?
Yeah, as in when he did those interviews, more people said. I mean, they're probably not going to say, "Oh, I'm fucking disgusted you're back," but like,
that's weird because I thought that the first line of can we pull up the PFA where they said we speak for all the athletes? Oh, really? You speak for all the athletes? The majority of them said they were happy to have him back, so I don't really understand that.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Dave's, from afar, like watching his old videos and stuff, and Angelo could speak to this more because he's been around him more. But from me as a spectator of Dave for a while, and then getting to meet him a couple times over the last couple of years, like either he's completely different in public than he is in private, or he truly has, like Rich has pointed out, like changed a bit. Like his disposition is different from what I expected it to be in the last 2 years of being around him.
There's also Vindicate says JR is better looking than Dave at least. I tell you what, Dave Castro has aged like a fucking fine wine.
Yeah,
that was one thing I was struck by. Like I've seen those old videos of him too, like cornrows, like the pre-cornrows, and he just kind of looks like, I don't know, he looks like he's in the wrong body or something. He looks like he just doesn't look right. And then I saw him at the games, and I was like, man, he's actually fucking pretty classically handsome. And it just, he's got a bit of an aura to him.
JR shirtless.
Oh, I'm not saying he's better. He's better looking than JR. I mean, JR is a straight fucking, smoke show.
He's got the shoulder caps, is what it is. He's got the nice shoulders.
Yeah, but he always leans over as well. He's accentuating them. He knows what he's doing. Let's see, anything else here? 7 to 9 people speak for all the athletes. Sorry, 7 to 9 people speak for all the athletes, but not all the athletes, but games athletes, but only individual games athletes and individual games athletes the last 2 years, but definitely not retired games athletes, and up until one not qualifying place at semifinals. You forgot that.
Yeah.
So it goes to like 11th or whatever. Pullovers. That was a bit of a trick as well, wasn't it?
I don't think any of those tricks are that bad on their own.
Yeah, it's when they're all.
I think it's. Yeah. I think even in that event they had in 23, and I don't pigeonhole these guys because if you, as soon as you do, they change it up and something totally different happens. But like, it was long event in the morning and then a high skill gymnastics event. This is the first day of the games both times, and it was like, okay, I've seen this before. And then those 2 events. I guess it was Thursday night for the individuals. Thursday night and Thursday night, you're looking at the exact same thing twice. It's like, okay, well, I feel like I've seen this before, just a little bit different. It's like, hey, copy my homework, but mix it up a little bit so it doesn't look like you copied my homework. It was like one of those things. So
I think it was trying to find new tools in the toolbox too. When it's like we already have hundreds of movements. It's like the beauty is how we combine them and vary them.
Yeah,
I think that's what Dave always does a good job at. Is finding different ways. But
combine the same stuff.
Yeah, and then at the same time, like because you've had this continuity with Dave for a while, you do have a little bit of a feel for like how the event's going to play out, and I think that's actually good for the sport.
Yeah, it is in a way, but you also, I mean, you want the unknown and unknowable, but dude, I mean, he just needs a couple. Either he needs to, like every few years, replace the people who are helping him, or maybe every year, whatever it is, or maybe he just needs new people this time to be like his, I don't know what you want to call them, his delegates, his reviewers, whatever you want to call those people who help him or change stuff if he needs it. And we need him to listen to them, I guess. I can't speak for the guy, but maybe he doesn't want to listen to those people and doesn't want to change things up. But run, swim, we've done that before. We did that in 2017, Amanda 45, direct repeat. Push, pull, yeah, that was meant to be repeat, obviously, but we already had 2 repeats. So you have push, pull, and then the last day, thrusters, and finish the event with thrusters and pull-ups. Oh wow, I've seen that a million times. Chad, that looks just like Murph. Squat, clean, ladder. We've done that 1,000 times, you know? So like, yeah, I think, but we have so many years to base off of. You have so many years of like, okay, Dave's done this. So like, yeah, of course he's gonna get a little repetitive. But that's what I mean. I think if you had a couple people who were like, hey Dave, like we've done that last 2 or 3 years, like you're like, oh no, not this. They're like, no, dude, that looks really similar. Then maybe they swap it up and they do a snatch ladder this year. They haven't done it in 4 years, whatever, you know. So
we don't really know what Dave's process fully looks like, though.
And yeah, exactly. We don't know
how much input he's getting.
Yeah, you're right. We don't know. And
I don't know. I'd say fuck all input. I'd say he's like, hey, this is what do you think about this? And people are just like,
You think
what do you think about it? What do you think? And I think what you think.
Yeah, but that's a problem. I think that's a problem.
Yeah.
I think if that's what's happening, not to say that is.
I'm not saying I'm partially tongue in cheek.
But you probably I think you're more right than wrong.
I need to clean up some stuff here. So Juana Love says I would hit that either about Dave or JR. Janelle says, dude, Dave can hold his own. Janelle also says JR is a straight up snack. Imagine if I did this about women. I'd be so fucked. This is all about 2 women. Vindicate, Abercrombie model, Man Rocket. This is like if JR watched this back, he's gonna want to die if he watches this back. JR is a good looking man, no homo. And then I think Olivia sums it up pretty nicely by saying, this is very gay. Yeah, you're right. It's gone down a bit of a rabbit hole. This might be the comment of the entire series. Hey, Angelo, Noah called and wanted you to wait the whole minute of your argument time at start.
That's so good.
Wow.
That's so good.
All right. Did I do the scores? I did. All right. I don't know how it's going to work long term, but anyway.
You're gonna give it to. Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you mean give it to me? I won.
Yeah, earned.
he can't be back on. I mean, really, dude. Like,
listen, Jake. I'll bring you on for a nice, long, measured conversation.
I think that's what we need. That's where
a measured conversation with tangents and such. I think that's where you'd strive. I think Angelo was saying, "Oh, we could get into the weeds." I think Jake belongs in the weeds. I think he's a weed whacker.
I'll take it as
all right, Jake, you win. Or Angelo, you win. God, sorry, Jake, that I really rubbed salt into the wounds there. That was unnecessary. Angelo, you also get 30 seconds to talk about whatever you want to talk about now. And your time starts now. Off you
go. I think that before you make a post on Instagram, you need to think a little longer and wait a little longer before you do that. Make sure you really stand behind what you believe, and make sure that everyone in your group, whether you want them in your group or not, are all on the same page before you say something just kind of knee jerk. So there it is.
Is this about the happy birthday post that I put up about my son yesterday? Is that what you're talking about?
No. It's totally something unrelated to CrossFit. Totally
okay, right. Just something different. Who didn't show up? Yeah, Will Moorad didn't show up. Do
you anticipate Will disagreeing with anything we said?
I would have liked his perspective on the Masters and Teens thing.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah, that's sort of why I put that question. Like, I basically put that question in because he was going to be here and would be able to give a really succinct answer. Although he's probably biased because he won, so he's probably like, "Well, the programming was amazing," and I definitely found the videos.
He did not think the program was amazing. I talked to him, so that would have been.
Really?
Yeah, he probably would have ate my lunch when I said the program was good enough to find the fittest.
Okay, I don't know what you're going to do now, Angelo. You have to come back next week. So
yeah, I'll probably go.
Yeah, probably. You would not believe the amount of unreplied texts Angelo has for me. It's like just like week after week after week. Listen, I'm not going to have this out with you in a public forum. It's not fair on me and my ego. All right, Angelo, thanks. Really appreciate you coming on. Jake, thank you. You come on for a chat again someday. Thanks everybody for watching in the comments or whatever as well. Later on, the Spin are going to review, I believe they're going to talk about the PFAA and what happened on my show and stuff, and what happened on Savan's show and Angelo and Saxon as well. And yeah, that's it, I think. I don't have anything else to offer. Do I? No, thank you.